Good Tuesday morning, July 1st, 2025, 8 a.m. And what you are to see was previously recorded beginning at 7:07 a.m. this morning. And yes, it begins with recordings from this morning's headline news, televised headline news. And I just want to make this statement that I own my TV, I own this phone, I make monthly payments for service to this phone, I pay for the electricity that powers this phone, that powers the TV. I have recorded public aired information. And so I feel I have more than adequate rights to copy public aired televised information, especially when I am using it as subcontext to my content. Okay? Now then, most people do not like this type of content that I come out with. I explain it the best of my capabilities within these early morning hours while still waking up. I'm not asking for anyone to accept, deny, nor even understand. But if you don't like the topics of prophecy, the Bible, and talks of reality, stop watching now. And you might not want to hear what I have to present. It's up to you. From this point on, I will leave it up to you to watch this video or not. I will be coming out with a little bit more content today. It's going to be a busy day for me today. I am still currently uploading yesterday's content from yesterday's afternoon and evening, because everything, even though we have all this so-called advancements in technology, for some reason everything is on the slowdown. Everything. So it takes that much longer to get my content out there. And of course, there's forces that slows down the process intentionally. That's okay. I got nothing but time to kill. Oh, and I'm not afraid to use that word, as many seem to be fearful of that four-letter word. And they have to come out with words such as unalive. Scaredy cats. Can't even speak their own minds anymore. No, that's not the case here. I'm going to tell it how it is, my way. It might not be all that straightforward, because yes, I try to get the viewers to think a little bit for themselves. So what my content holds is pushers, right? Not just pushers up in the sky, but my little hints to push people into thinking for themselves, to do a little bit of extracurricular research. Is anybody out there that has been a viewer? Have you learned anything from my content? You know, I'd be really curious to find this out. Does my content hold any value within learning? Well, if you think so, and if you learn anything from the following within this video, let me know. I'll leave it at that and let you continue on. And I will be coming out with a little bit more content. Of what type? I really don't know right now. But of course, more than likely it will be that involving nature, these woods. And yeah, we have a, well, I can't even operate my phone anymore. I mean, it just does not coincide with my finger swipes and all that. But anyways, we got red squirrel up here munching on mulberries someplace in here. And I am on my way out to tend to the critters. Oh, and there's blue jay. A blue jay up here. Yeah, might be Jayhawk. I shall find out. You might be able to see him right in there. I think I've got a bead on it. Okay, that'll be enough. And thanks for watching in advance. 7:07 a.m. And I just want to say that I find this story, there's a section to the story that does not make any sense whatsoever. And I'll just say vehicles, okay? 2 vehicles. And it does not make any sense in the story. This is something else. Have you heard the threat that Elon Musk stated? And if you vote of certain, well, if you vote for that big beautiful bill, there's going to be consequences. Okay? And you got to listen to what Elon says. I've been listening and reading between the lines of what Elon has been saying. And it goes right along with prophecies. Okay, if it's the last thing I do on earth, okay, that is something to take notice of, okay? Okay, and something else that Elon Musk has stated just in recent days or weeks past, whatever, is the factor that he wants to take life to Mars and he wants to preserve consciousness. Again, this relates to so-called prophecy. And real quick, you know, okay, severe storm threat, northeastern states, right? It was all manufactured here in Michigan, okay? We seen this yesterday. Alright, so now we have to go to this, alright? Well, no, let's do without the light. And we have to examine prophecy, alright? And of course, you know, if you know your characters within this book, the Freemason playbook, and you know the characters once again that takes part in the so-called end times, which is nothing more than the end of one age and going into this new age controlled by AI. Okay? And it talks of this. It speaks of artificial intelligence, and Elon Musk within this book. Elon is one of the lions, okay? The lion. We go to Revelation. One moment. In which we have to go to Revelation chapter 21. And ever since, and what we don't hear about anymore is Agenda 21. Now, I never went along with the narratives to that so-called agenda, because right away I correlated Agenda 21 to chapter 21 in this book. Okay? And within this book, we have the story of New Jerusalem. Okay? A new heavens, new earth. Right here. And I saw a new heaven, a new earth. Maybe we can... Okay, there we go. For the first heaven, first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. Oh, nice glitch there, thank you. Okay. And God said, wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, nor sorrow, nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things have passed away. Alright? Now, let's go back just a step. And yes, I kind of loosely paraphrased Elon by his statement of, I want to take life to Mars, which of course, you know, that's still one of the so-called agendas that Trump has mentioned about going to the moon, using that as a platform to get to Mars, and then from Mars beyond. Okay? We've got Elon Musk that has all, basically, that he really needs to get us supposedly to the moon and to Mars. Okay? He's the main transport guy. Or was supposed to be. But what got me was when Elon said that he wants to preserve consciousness. Right here. We are talking about an AI system to where people's consciousness gets downloaded into the computer, a virtual reality or virtual augmentation or whatever you want to call it. Your mind's thoughts, your consciousness, not your subconsciousness, but your consciousness gets downloaded into this program of heaven. Heaven on earth. Now, I believe that this is going to be in Saudi Arabia. And I believe it's being built already. And people will be judged in order to get into this city, as this book explains. And people are going to be clamoring to do this because of what is to come. Because, once again, it speaks of the fears that takes place within people during the end times, when all this unfolds, as it is unfolding today and has been. Okay? Because back here it speaks of trials, tribulations that began in 2017. 2024, we had our 7 years. The trials and tribulations, or this tribulation period, was that of Donald J. Trump. Now, Donald J. Trump has become the Antichrist. Okay? And why? And why does he want to continue with what he's been doing? That's what this is about. Now, with Musk uttering, if it's the last thing I do on Earth, read into that one a little bit. Is he talking about his own personal demise? Or is he speaking in advance of leaving this Earth into outer space? Or is he going to be the first one to download his consciousness into the new city? When you get into the description within chapter 21 of New Jerusalem, and you get into all these layers that are defined by certain jewels and so on and so forth, well, just think about this. We now have to consider time. Okay, because old pocket watches and very, very expensive wrist watches run with jewels inside of them, rubies, because the weights of these jewels keeps precise time. Okay, so there is a time period that this actually lasts. 1,000 years. So we got time that is mixed in to these equations here that really needs to be focused upon. Time. So what lasts for 1,000 years? What has the life span of basically 1,000 years? Just think, how long does radiation last? Huh? How long do nuclear rods have power? How long does nuclear power last? Morgan, how can you back this up? Now, people are going to be seduced into going this route. Before you can get into or through the gates into the city, there is a period of judgment. Judge not, lest ye be judged. So many people do not understand the reality to that phrase, because that phrase is all about karma. And karma basically is that scientific explanation for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Everything in existence revolves around that concept, and it is that concept that is in fact karma within the spirit realm. They are trying to rob you of your ability to get out of this reincarceration through reincarnation. Why does there need to be a heaven on earth if there is supposedly a heaven somewhere up there and out there? A false heaven. But people, especially gamers, children that are growing up in today's technology, that's what they know. And that's what they're going to be guided towards. Download the consciousness, discard the bodies. You don't need your body anymore. You can live forever, but it's only for 1,000 years. But then what's it say in this book about the time span of 1,000 years in so-called God's eyes? People, there's so much more I could explain. But of course, nobody really wants to listen nor understand where I'm coming from. And yet I keep proving. I expose. And I go to where I can prove what I am exposing. Whether you want to accept it or not, hey, that's up to you. I don't care. I'm just sharing. That's all. And we'll share just a little bit more in due time. Because there's more that has to come about before we get to this part here. And remember, 2027. It's a major year. No, I am not trying to get you to accept anything. I'm not trying to get you to deny anything. Once again, I am just sharing my thoughts. Because my thoughts have not changed. My viewpoints have not changed since I began speaking on these types of subjects and topics and events and the characters and everything that I have stated in the past. Oh yeah, it's a happening thing. Now I'll leave it at that. That's going to be the beginning of my content for this July 1st, Tuesday morning of this year, 2025. Have a great one. And you can meet up with me later, as there's always more content that I can capture or record and share. Have a great one. 9:45 a.m. July 1st, 2025. I've got some content now that I really feel I have to explore, explain, and so on and so forth. Yes, I have some props here. I have a reflective computer with its screen, right? Yeah, I have not been able to work out in like a month now, but anyways. We have a Ouija board within its box. We have the Bible. We have fortune reading cards, not tarot cards. There is a difference. Okay? Once again, I will show that these are fortune cards. Okay? Very old. Very old. Why am I showing all this to you? Well, I've been making mention that I wanted to talk about ghosts. We are on the first day of July. And for some reason, they are already jump starting the Halloween holiday. Okay, so just try to let that sink in. Have you been seeing any of this lead in to Halloween? So just kind of take that into consideration at the moment. Now then, July 4th, that so-called Independence Day. Why is it that every July 4th we have a marathon, a 24-hour marathon of past Twilight Zone episodes? Why? Why every year on the 4th of July are we bombarded by these old black and white Rod Serling episodes of the Twilight Zone? Let that sink in. Of course, you might have by now at least heard or know of my so-called time loop theory, which more and more channels over recent months have been bringing out time loop scenario videos. Okay? And I have shown some examples from other channels, and I'm going to go ahead and focus in on one channel in specific, and I am not out to critique them, downgrade them, belittle them, or what have you. But there's connections to be made. I am a Gemini, and of the zodiac signs, that is the twins. So going into the paranormal investigations, ghost hunting, let's go to twin paranormal as an example, as these are two brothers that are twins, a popular channel, and which they have even brought up, and I've shown this, within their content. I believe at least twice now they have brought up time loop during their investigations, or so-called investigations. Now this is where I'm going down to the nitty-gritty, because we are at a point where more and more people are waking up to the factors of deceptive narrations through religions. Okay? Spirituality and reincarnation, believe it or not, is what brought about religion. And I'm just using Christianity right now. But the soul message to all religions is derived from spirituality, a higher consciousness, and a connection to so-called source of all knowledge. So people go to wanting more information through the Ouija board. Very popular set of books. Messages from Michael has come about from this, as well as other documentations of messages that come through this board. We have messages that come through the tarot and through fortune reading cards. And when I read my cards, they highly correlate with the Gemini readings of the tarot within videos that I watch. And a lot of people use this as a way to communicate with spirits, ghosts. There is a difference. Now, I don't really want to go down that road because I want to talk about a separate type of difference, such as these new ghost hunters or paranormal investigators or whatever classification or category they want to consider themselves to be. But they are using more and more electronic devices and apps. And just like Twin Paranormal, many of these channels will use these apps, these Spirit Talker apps or Ghost Talker apps, such as through Amy's Crypt. And and what are they actually dealing with? Oh, well, we shut off our phones, we turn on our airplane mode so there's no interruption to these apps. No outside influence, and we are talking to ghosts. Seriously? Because your apps are going through a computer system, a computer program, artificial intelligence that works and resides within the fields of quantum mechanics and physics. We are talking of metaphysics, metaphysical aspects versus that of quantum sciences, which this technology operates on. And so even though you might say, oh, well, no, I have no connection because I turn on my airplane mode and I'm getting messages from ghosts. No, you're not. You are getting messages through quantum physics and through a computer programmed system. Okay? You are dealing with AI when you are using these apps. Because why? These apps go through Google or other computerized systems. So basically, now this is where it really gets deep, because Twin Paranormal is now incorporating tarot readings within their investigations, using cards, a random drawing of 3 cards, past, present, and future. But what are they using to explain these cards drawn from the tarot deck? Oh, AI generated explanations. So who are they dealing with? Ghosts? Spirits of those that have crossed over? No. Not at all. And they are being very deceptive with what they are doing, just like many, many other groups or individuals that use these electronic digital devices and apps. You are not communicating with real spirits. You are dealing with artificial spirits, and thus the real messages of spirituality is becoming lost amongst the mire of chaos and confusion, and these young boys are pushing the envelope that much further into false beliefs and false doctrines. I watched these guys ever since they first began their channel. I have never been a subscriber, but I rarely miss a regular episode. No, I don't go to their blogs or these side channels that, that praise them and everything else. And once again, I am not out demonizing these guys. I find them very entertaining. But then I also pick up on different things during their investigations that I could easily explain away of what they are really dealing with. But once again, I am only using them as an example as to what is in the future in regards to beliefs. There's a reason why this book says to stay away from this. It's because that is where you will find the secrets of the universe. Not here. And already, as I have explained, Google is already changing narratives and definitions to a lot of things. And my battery is about dead, so I have to give this up as far as recording any further. I am currently still uploading, of course, other content. Have more content from today. Of course, that, well, it's probably already posted by now. But yeah, I've been just non-stop sending files, if you will. And even more so now, because of this explanation that I felt I really had to come out with. And this is just a tip of the iceberg. And once again, if Twin Paranormal should happen to view this, I am not demonizing them or their team or team members, but I am explaining what they are doing is taking people down a wrong road of beliefs within ghosts and the separation of ghosts and spirits when speaking of spirituality. There is a difference between ghosts, spirits, specters, but you have to understand those differences, and I don't feel that I need to come out and explain each and every detail about these differences. All I am trying to say is to go within, seek out your own spirituality, and do not go down the road of the new AI God that they are trying to push upon the so-called civilized people. I am not saying to go to this or to go to this, to each their own. What I am saying is to get the hell away from nonsense through technology, through this digital age of deception, misinformation, disinformation, chaos, and confusion. And when it comes down to this, you really need to understand that much more of the origin and the stories and the prophecies and how to relate them and connect them to today and furthermore to tomorrow and beyond. This book here speaks a lot about this and this. It also speaks about the time of this. We are during that period of time. You got a choice. Just like this book here says, you got a choice between heaven or hell. And it tries to tell you there's only one way to get there. Even Jesus was trying to state that he was against religion. He was against politics. That's why he went into the temple and turned over the tables as he did. Jesus was about spirituality. That's why he went to learn this during those missing years of his life. But they used that prophet's words, distorted them, and used them for their own purposes to create this. I use it, and I use that book properly in order to see. I use these to see. And I have used this as well. And what I see today, such as with Google changing the definition to the Illuminati, which I do have screenshots before, when it said one thing or stated one thing, and what it states today. And just within a few months. And that narration and definition changed. You cannot believe AI as it is artificial. This is more real. I know this because I have been researching. I've gone into this. I follow tarot card readings for the Gemini sign. The story does not change, but it does evolve. And it's real because I am living the life that these readers, many readers, for the Gemini and for the collective, have brought out within their messages. And I am very deeply connected with a lot of the storylines through these readings. Take it for what it is. I will leave it at that. If you have any questions, please ask. If you have any comments, please share. Take care. Have a great one.